Okay, what's up, people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well. As always, guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like on the stream, subscribe to the channel, and of course, make sure you do go and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Make sure you do check out the Elevating Traders Discord channel, completely free to join. You can find the link to that in the description below and also at the top of the chat. You can't miss it. Chat with other traders, chat with myself. I share ideas there, so do other people. Join the community, and of course, you can find out a bit more information about Elevating Traders if you are interested. So go check it out if you haven't done so already. But good morning, everyone. Hope everyone is well. Forex Sniper, yes, we'll get to pound USD. I'll go through the dollar first, DXY. Take a look at the euro, and then I'll take a look at pound for you. What's up, Will? Good morning. Hope you're doing good. What's up, Ahmed? Welcome to the stream. What's up, Nenad? Welcome to the stream. Yeah, Aussie Cat did make another jump there outside the channel. Yeah, price has broken outside of that, so I'm kind of staying a bit more neutral now on Aussie Cat. I was shorting it yesterday, but it did get taken out. But now that we've broken out that channel, I think NZD CAD may still be within the channel. We'll take a look at it in a second. But Aussie CAD is definitely outside of that channel now, so I'm definitely going to stay put with that one. But yeah, we'll go through dollar first, then we'll go through Aussie CAD, New Zealand CAD, and again, any other recommendations, drop it down in the chat. We'll take a look and discuss together. But yeah, with the dollar, things are looking pretty bearish. Things are looking pretty bearish this morning. Really strong move to the downside. And we are seeing a bearish USD at this moment in time. And of course, euro is making a move to the upper side. I think pound's looking pretty bullish as well. Dollar CAD, I think, is still in the range. We'll get to it in a second. But really nice move to the downside here with the dollar. In terms of what I'm looking for, it's still in bullish territory, which is basically coming back to retest this prior high here, which of course will be 10 support. At the moment, there is no sign of us reversing. Intraday, things are looking pretty bearish, but it is an area where potentially we could turn around. We just need to wait for evidence for price to give us evidence for price to turn around. Essentially, we don't have that yet. So if the market remains bearish and we break the lows and we keep seeing lower highs, then of course we could keep falling. However, if price does start to create support, starts to reject it, well, we could potentially turn around and look at that next higher low forming. I'm looking at this swing low, which created this high as well. And if I whip out the fib from the low to the high, you can see we've come back into that 0.5, 0.618. So it's a healthy area for retracement should the market look to continue. So yeah, just need to wait for evidence for that to show me that okay, price is creating support, it's respecting prior levels, and we're about to turn around. Intraday, things are still looking pretty bearish. As I said yesterday, if you're on an intraday level, kind of like hourly time frame and below, I'll probably just focus with the shorts right now. That's where momentum is. I know we'll come into some support, but if this momentum does continue, which is done for the past few days or week, pretty much, I would say shorts are still the best option. Of course, you want to see some pullbacks now, which are going to take at the lows. We're looking pretty bearish at this moment in time. So you would want to see a bit of a correction and look for some shorts, maybe probably tomorrow, probably on Monday at this point in time, because it's already 10 a.m. on Friday. So it's probably going to take all of Friday to correct if it wants to correct. So you probably won't get shorts till next week. But essentially, if you are on an intraday time frame, I would say DXY is looking pretty bearish, and I would be expecting more of the same. But on the 4-hour chart and above, if we do start to see some healthy signs of rejection, of course, I will be looking for some longs as we come back to respect this level of support on the left and hopefully form that next higher low. So yeah, we'll wait to see if that can happen for dollar. Looks like we're also lining up with that retest of that high there as well. So we're coming to a very, very big level. It's either make or break, as I've been saying pretty much since the turn of the year. As long as the dollar can respect this level of resistance, now turn support, I will be looking for some long-term buys. The moment price does break underneath this and breaks underneath it well, that's the point where I will look to switch that bias from bullish to bearish again, view that as a bit of a fake out, and now looking for a lot more downside for the dollar. So it's a make or break level in terms of my bias, at least. At the moment, looks like we're coming back to test it as support. So if we can hold this area, I do think we can find some really nice longs and, of course, take it right back to where we came from, which is the high, and a lot further as well. So just waiting for evidence really of us turning around, and hopefully you can find some nice longs in the dollar, but shorts in other pairs. Similar to the euro, it has broken through that area I was looking for price to respect this week. It's just about closed above this morning. Again, essentially doesn't mean that price is necessarily bullish again. If I go to the weekly charts, the same situation. Price does need to respect this area for me to remain bearish. If it does break above, which it could do this week, but even if it does, it'll be a very kind of the close won't be that confident. If next week candle open up and we break straight through and close very, very bullish the following week, then yeah, of course, at that point, I'll be looking at some type of correction and more upside, because this was very important support back in 2023. Essentially, prices faked that low and now it's acting as support again. We could see a pretty big move to the upside as we've seen previously. So with the dollar and with Euro USD, we're coming to some big levels for both of them, and it's make or break with both of them at the moment in time. Again, if you're looking at Euro USD intraday, it's a very bullish market at the moment. You can see we had this impulse phase, market corrects with that consolidation, another impulse, another consolidation, another impulse there as well. So probably gonna get some type of correction over the next couple of days or so, and there could be some nice longs to ride that up. If the market does start to show some signs of reversal, that'd be great. But again, I haven't got that at the moment. We just created new highs with this 4-hour candle. So I'm going to see how that develops in respect to the dollar as well. Do we start to form some resistance, rejection, maybe some nice wicks, and then I can look for some sells? Or does the market form a higher low and breaks the high again? If that's the case, then like I said, I'll step back. And if we break through that weekly zone, long term, I will be looking at a lot more upside for Euro USD and a lot more downside for the dollar. At the moment, pound USD still looks pretty bearish to me. I know we've broken through this 1.235 zone. Didn't really see much of a rejection there on the 4-hour time frame, so that's why I stayed out the market. But as I've said, there's two areas on pound which I'm looking at. The first level, price is broken through, but the second area around 1.25, I'm still looking at a continuation of this bearish move. The one thing pound USD has over Euro USD is that this one's got a lot more momentum. Really strong move to the downside the past couple of weeks, and we've been crashing to the downside ever since we broke out of this ascending channel. So pound USD has always been the better short than euro, and it still does look pretty bearish. So I will be looking for lower highs in this area and looking for signals to take some shorts. But at the moment, we've broken through that first zone, so I'm going to see what we can do at 1.25, which not too far away from. Maybe potentially could end up at that area today if this momentum continues. Again, from an intraday perspective, price actually still looking pretty bullish here as well. We just broke through prior highs. Let me do that again because that was an awful line. We just broke through prior highs here. So again, minor corrections and then continuations back to the high make the most sense. But I'll still be looking to see if we can get a bigger move back to the lows. And again, it doesn't necessarily have to go all the way here for me to make a profit. Even if it goes halfway, you can still lock in gains along the way. And if it does go, all the way back to the lows, great. We could be looking at a pretty big winner. But yeah, pound USD is still looking pretty bearish to me. So keeping an eye on some shorts around 1.25. But yeah, at the moment, USD's falling. Pound USD's look pretty strong. From an intraday point of view, we probably will get a bit more upside for now until we get to 1.25. Onto dollar CAD. This one is still a big mess, still consolidating between equal highs and equal lows. So there's nothing really to report on with dollar CAD until we can break out of this range. Again, long term, I'm still looking for a push back to 1.46, 1.465, around that high there. That's still what I'm looking for price to get to. And if we do break the downside, we could probably see a much bigger pullback. There's a couple areas I'm looking at. Of course, we do have the massive weekly level all the way down here. Price could potentially come back and retest. But also, if I drop to the 4-hour chart, I also like the high here as well. So again, if market was to have a nice push down, we'll be looking to see if we can form a higher low and push back up again. If not, then I'll be looking at down here as well for that long. But yeah, at the moment in time, unsure what the next move is for dollar CAD. If USD does stay bearish, then maybe we do break to the downside. But again, until we get that breakout, I'm going to stay very neutral because price could easily rebound again and start looking bullish again within the range. And then maybe you respect the high and come back down again. So until we get the breakout, that's when I'll be give a bit more detail and analysis with dollar CAD. But otherwise, it's just very, very sideways with this one. So waiting for a clean break of 1.446 or 1.429, and then we can look to see what opportunities we have after that. But inside the range, not interested. Of course, if you're looking to buy the support, sell the resistance, again, not a bad idea given how the market is moving. So if that's something you're looking at, it makes sense. But waiting for price to break free of that and hopefully ride the momentum afterwards. In terms of Aussie dollar, I still like this one to the downside, but again, I do need to see some retracement, which looks like price is doing. I spoke a lot about Aussie dollar past few days. I've spoken a lot about this area here as well as a nice place for a short, back into a really strong daily level at 0.64. Again, if price was to get there, get my confirmations, I'll be more than happy to look for some shorts. Let me draw that back in. More than happy to look for some shorts. You can see overall bearish trend is still very much in free flow, but it looks like the market is forming a bit of a bottom here, and we could be seeing some upside. So it's just about how far do we push? Is it going to be a really big move because the market's very stretched, or is it just the market's going to correct itself, slightly and then continue on this way? That's where we'll find our answers at that zone. And if things look good, I'll be more than happy to take some shorts. And again, same as pound, hopefully back into the lows and potentially further as well. I do expect a lot more downside for Aussie dollar if we are going to keep up that structure. So yeah, very bearish in Aussie dollar, but at the moment still looks pretty bullish. The fact that we're taking out these highs here as well is a sign that, okay, the 4-hour chart is shifting. And again, from an intraday level, we probably will see a bit more upside in the next few days to get us back to 0.638. So for Aussie dollar, I do fancy a bit more upside. Like I said, I'm focused on the sales, but if you are looking at intraday, something like that could look pretty good. New Zealand dollar, pretty much looking at the exact same thing, to be honest. Again, this one breaking through the highs there as well. It's looking like we are starting to round off a little bit. So it looks like maybe could be forming a bit of a bottom of this trend for a while. There are a couple areas I'm looking at for shorts for New Zealand dollar. This being the first area, around 0.578, 800 we'll call it, and this area here as well. So again, looking for pullbacks into these areas, and then hopefully find some shorts from either one, which we can take it back to the lows. I'm still expecting price to take out this low. So I do fancy us to see more downside longer term, but judging price action on the 4-hour chart, it does look like we are forming some type of bottom here. So I would anticipate more upside for New Zealand dollar. But in my view, it's most likely going to be a retracement. So yeah, still focus on the shorts, but at the moment, especially intraday, things are looking pretty bullish, breaking through the highs down the left and pretty consistent with the higher lows here. So again, probably see a bit of a correction and more upside, maybe coming back to retest that high there on the hourly chart. So yeah, pretty bullish intraday for a lot of these USD majors. Of course, with DXY falling out the sky a little bit as well. We're kind of seeing that synchronicity between those correlated pairs. So as long as dollar stays weak, we're probably going to see price keeps pushing, which hopefully we do, because I do have a few pairs which I do want to see price continue a little bit higher for pound, Aussie, New Zealand, before I can find some shorts. In terms of gold, this one looks like it's bullish again. I was looking for the retest of the high here yesterday, but unfortunately didn't quite see enough downside to get that retest, and it looks like price is just going to keep pushing back to the highs now for gold. We've got the all-time highs there around 27.90, and we're not too far away. So I would say in terms of opportunities for gold, I would drop right down probably to like maybe 30-minute time frame for entries, or even 15, because we are very consistent with these high lows. If I jump back to the 4-hour chart, since this low here, the market has just been putting higher low after higher low after higher low. So I would expect to see another one. And since we've got the all-time highs just above us, that's likely where we're going to be headed towards. So the market is probably due another correction after a really nice push to the upside. Was that early hours of the morning? Yeah, 1, 2, 3 a.m. So a bit of a correction maybe on the cards here. And you probably might find a nice continuation. Maybe this afternoon, if not, maybe to keep saying tomorrow, maybe Monday. Monday London session might set up nicely for some buys, but essentially expecting gold to make new highs very, very soon. I wouldn't even be surprised if we do it today. We might not have that retracement. We might just kaboom and just fly to the upside. But yeah, gold's looking very, very bullish. I would say in terms of pullbacks, it's looking a bit unlikely that we do come back and retest the high there at 27.20. So yeah, pullbacks and then push back to the high makes the most sense. And for silver, this one is just a little bit slow. It looks like it's slowly getting there. It failed to break the highs yesterday, or that was Wednesday, day before yesterday. So we failed to break the highs there, but I do anticipate a lot more upside, just like gold. I do think silver is going to get back to the highs and eventually back to the all-time highs, but we're lagging behind a lot. So I like silver because of that fact, because it means it's got a lot of catching up to do. So when we do start to really see a nice trend, there should be some really nice big swings and opportunities where you can look to hold the trade pretty far. But at the moment in time, we are starting to put in some higher lows. We are struggling at this high here. But if we can get a nice break of that, that'll be a nice sign that says, okay, buys are really really strong at the moment. Resistance is failing to hold, and the next pullback could give us some really nice opportunities to take it higher. Did not mean to do that. Of course, I would still watch out for this area here on the left because, of course, that is the last area we consolidated and had a really big sell to the downside. A lot of momentum came from that area, and of course, we broke through these lows on the left. So I would watch out for that. But that's a bad stutter. Primarily speaking, I'll just look for consistent high lows, and as long as we can keep that up, I think there's a nice trend line confluence here as well. Yes, there is. So if we can get another one, maybe retest that zone with that trend line back into the high, then hopefully we can take it all the way back to that high there, 34.8, and then eventually the all-time high, which is, where's the all-time high? Have I lost it? Oh no, it's there. So you're back to the all-time high, which is 51. 50. So yeah, that's really what I'm looking at for silver, gold. Very, very bullish on both of them, but yeah, just need some opportunities. Looks like gold's kind of left the station. Looks like gold kind of left the station, but silver kind of hasn't developed enough yet. So that means we're probably going to get some nice opportunities on silver in the next coming days, and hopefully some big ones as well. Excuse me. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with USD pairs. Can't trade entity swaps are insane. I mean, swaps or spreads. But yeah, I think again, I don't know if you're shorting. Yeah, the swaps, you will be paying swaps shorting New Zealand CAD, I'm pretty sure. Let me check. Okay, yeah, yeah, you would be paying interest rates. You'd be paying negative swap for selling New Zealand CAD. But yeah, I mean, swaps can be a bit of a pain sometimes. That's the big disadvantage of swing trading, paying the swaps. So especially ones that have a big contrast between the interest rates, you can be paying heavy swap like New Zealand CHF. That's pretty expensive in terms of shorting it. A lot of the yen pairs, New Zealand yen, pound yen, very expensive swaps as well. What's up, Chris? Good morning. Hope you're doing good. I'm well today. Thank you. Thank you. Hope you're doing good. Ninad, too long position, pound NZD. Okay, nice. I'm looking at pound NZD buys yet. Not quite set up for me, but I'm looking to get involved. So I'm keen to see what's going on there. What's up, Dark Sean? Hope you're well. Missed a good entry around 9. Was afraid that news will whip me out. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably a safe bet, to be honest. Especially because I know you trade like on the 5-minute chart. And we had the yen interest rate. I think, do we have some pound news as well? But the yen interest rate alone, I mean, that was early hours of the morning, wasn't it? I think you probably talking about the pound news. Yeah, pound news at 9:30. Okay, so that's the one you were looking at. Yeah, so when you're trading on the 5-minute chart, it's always a bit difficult to try and hold through news because you know 5-minute chart not necessarily gonna have the biggest sort of stop loss. So even not it doesn't have to be a big move for it to affect your trade really. So it's probably a wide decision. If I was trading on the 5-minute chart, I'd try my best to avoid pretty much all the big red folder news, red impact news. I'll try and avoid pretty much all of them. Just because I know if I'm on the wrong side of it, I can get slipped pretty badly. And yeah, that's not fun. So yeah, I mean, I would say it's not necessarily a missed trade because you didn't take the trade for the right reasons. I would say a missed trade is when like you were just not at the charts or maybe you hesitated to take the position because of just the natural fear of the trade. If you stay out of the market because of the news, especially when you're kind of right on the lower time frames, I would say it's a valid enough reason. But of course, you would like to still be in the trade, of course. Godfrey, Aussie Yen, good morning. Yes, we'll take a look at that one as well. Paul, long pound seat chef, targeting 1 point. Okay, we'll take a look at pound seat chef. Antonio, good morning. Hope you're well. Okay, so we'll go through Aussie CAD and then we'll go through pound NZD for Ninad. We'll take a look at GJ, Aussie, and pound CHF as well. If you do have any requests for any certain pairs, just let me know. Drop it down in the chat, and we will take a look. And then shortly, I'll go through some of the yen pairs. But yeah, Aussie CAD was very bullish yesterday. I did have a position on this candle here, which was early in the week, but I did get taken out of that position. We were trading this channel pretty well, and I was just expecting price to naturally continue. However, we broke out of that channel. Well, we broke out of it yesterday, but we saw a lot of momentum this morning. So with Aussie CAD, I'm still bearish on this one. I'm still looking for a bigger push back down to these lows. However, the confluences I was looking at for the short have now gone. So it might still see a move to the downside, but it's not a move that I'm looking to take unless things develop, because for my trades, I have to have a certain confluences in line, and that will allow me to take positions. Whether price will, give me those confluences and then sell off, or maybe it might break through those confluences, or maybe it might just not give me any entries, but doesn't necessarily mean price is going to change direction. So with Aussie CAD breaking out this channel, it definitely is a bullish indication. I'm not necessarily looking for price to swing all the way back up to the high here. I need a lot more signs for me to have that bias. If you can break out, see some nice bullish structure, then sure, I may start looking for some longs at some point, but I need to see those higher lows start to be being printed before I do look for any buys. But yeah, at the moment, Aussie CAD is breaking out that channel very, very aggressively. So let's see how far this goes. If price does start putting some higher lows in, then we probably will shift the bias and start looking for the high there. If we do start just to form a lower high and come back down again, then yeah, I'll be looking for a lower high somewhere else and hopefully get the shorts. Because long term, I'm still looking for a push to this low. So in my book, there's still a long, long way to go for Aussie CAD. So, if I don't get the shorts there, it's not the end of the world. If I get it a little bit lower down, I'm still looking at a pretty decent risk reward. So, yeah, Aussie CAD definitely a very, very bullish sign breaking out that channel. And let's see what that brings us. Do we get higher highs and higher lows from this? Okay, then maybe we are looking at a push back to the high. If price is just forms a lower high and comes back inside the channel, then shorts are back, back on the cards again. But what I would say is though that we are still very corrective on this way up. So even though we do have a breakout, it's not necessarily that we've seen big candles breaking out to the upside. It's very corrective. So I do think price will form a lower high and probably push back down, unless for some reason we see some mad crazy momentum from somewhere. Then of course I'll reconsider things. But at the moment, it's still very corrective. So I do think we're probably going to get a sell at some point, but not within the channel, of course. In terms of New Zealand CAD, which of course is a very similar pair to Aussie CAD, this one as well strongly to the upside. I'm looking at this one trading within this channel, and we're not quite at the top of it yet as well. So New Zealand CAD might still be a good sell. I would wait for price to push a little bit higher so we can get right to that channel confluence. But it's still coming into this area where we had that brief pause, a lot of momentum to the downside. So naturally speaking, if we can get some rejection here, maybe New Zealand CAD does become a nice sell, and we can look at the lows there as well. So I'll keep an eye on this one. It was Aussie CAD and New Zealand CAD, both of those CAD pairs I was looking to short. I chose Aussie CAD. Both of them did pretty much the same thing, but New Zealand CAD is still within the channel, so there might still be an opportunity there. So we'll have to keep an eye on that in the next few hours. Unless we break out, of course, then I'll stay away. In terms of pound NZD, then I'll go through pound yen. Pound NZD, you said you got into a buy, Ninad, two positions, 2.17542, 2.17542. That's more or less there. And second position, 2.17840. That's more or less around there. And your take profit is 2.236. 2.236. Up there somewhere. Okay, so I bet the risk reward is weekly chart. Okay, so I bet that risk reward is looking pretty good. So yeah, with pound NZD, I'm looking for longs as well. It hasn't quite come into my area for the longs just yet. I'm looking at this high here. This is the level I'm looking for longs from. So yeah, I'm waiting for price to come a little bit further before I do find entries, but I do have the same bias. I'm looking at a similar move. We've been very consistent with the higher lows here for pound NZD. So essentially, I'm looking for price to continue as long as these high lows continue and we don't invalidate them. So with pound NZD, I'll see what we can do at that area. At the moment, we're kind of just consolidating above that level. Maybe price is forming some support here to get ready for a push. It is pretty stretched as well. So I do think a move to the upside is pretty likely. Of course, whether we will get all the way up there or not, that's a different question. But we'd be moving to the downside pretty well. So I do expect us to have a bit of a relief soon, even if it's just a pullback for price to continue down. Something like that is probably going to happen shortly, whether it's going to be from this level or this level. Of course, price will eventually tell us. But yeah, in terms of the entries, I don't mind it. Of course, I would wait slightly a little bit longer for price to get to these lows before I do look for entries. But I'm sure you've got your confluences that has triggered you into the trade. So of course, manage that trade how you see fit. But yeah, I do have pretty much the same bias as you, but I would look for price to come a little bit further down and then find some entries. So if you do get stopped out, I would suggest keep an eye around 2.16. That could be a nice area for a bounce as well. But yeah, I am looking at a similar move there for pound NZD as well. Okay, so we'll go through pound yen next. We'll look at Aussie yen as well. We'll go through pound CHF for Pole. Dark term, 100 pips candle on news plus 40 pips slippage. 40 pip slippage. That is nasty. That is scary. Yeah, 100% that'll be scary for the 5-minute chart. 40 pip slippage. That's insane. Because imagine if you have a 40 pip slippage, but your stop loss is like 10 pips. Yeah, that's insane. That the slippage alone is 4 times your stop loss. So yeah, you could be risking 1% on a trade, but because of the slippage, you could be losing 4 or 5 times that as well. So you do have to take that into consideration, especially on the bigger events like the pound news we had this morning. Can cause big moves, But of course, the NFPs, the Fed interest rates, the CPIs, those are the ones you need to keep a close eye on because that 40 pip slippage could even be worse, mate. Could even be 50 as well. So yeah, if you have very small stop losses, I would not recommend trading the news purely for that fact. Um, purely for that fact. So yeah, like I said, I think it was a smart decision to stay out of the trade. When you're on the lower time frames, it makes a lot of sense to stay away from the news, I would say. Of course, there will be news events where if you stayed in the trade, you would have caught a really nice winner, maybe like today. But then there'll be definitely days where it doesn't go so well, just like you mentioned there as well. So I think it's a net positive to avoid the news if you're not lower time frames. Anyway, let's take a look at pound yen. So yeah, the yen pairs have been up and down, haven't they? Um, I mean, they can only ever be up and down, can't they? But in terms of just general direction, we'll go through the yen pairs shortly. But they haven't really seen much direction this week. You can see pound yen's been pretty flat since Wednesday. A really nice move to the upside, back down again, a lot of fluctuation. Now we're looking pretty bullish. So you said you were looking for a short from 9 a.m. Where is that? 999. Okay, 9 a.m. around there. Oh, looking for a long, sorry. Okay. So you're looking for a buy around 9 a.m. So it would have been here. So yeah, pretty big move to the upside. But yeah, as we just said, trying to avoid news on the low time frames is the best bet. Of course, in this situation, really nice move to the upside, but that's not going to be the case every time, and especially with the bigger events as well. I think it's just less stressful as well, less stressful because I know if you have a trade open on the 5 minute chart, and you got some news coming out, you're not necessarily the calmest guy in the world, are you, or girl? So yeah, I would say it's the best situation to close the trade or just not open the trade. And you got major news coming out. But yeah, really strong close down the 4 hour chart. It looks like pound yen's probably got a bit more upside in the tank now. Again, I've said I'm looking at roughly this area for some downside. Ooh, that's the wrong tool. Roughly this area for some downside, 194, 194.5. That's kind of the area I'm looking at. Not quite there yet, but at the moment in time, it looks like price is probably going to make that move. You can see the last 4 hour candle, or the last two 4 hour candles, really nice wicks to the downside, wicking through these areas, really strong close. Probably are going to push to the upside here in the next few hours there. So we'll see what we can do. Maybe you do test it today and then we can look for some entries. If not, probably early next week. But yeah, pound yen to me looks like we probably are going to see a bit more upside there as well. We'll take a look at Aussie yen and then we'll go to pound CHF and then we'll probably just go through all the yen pairs together. No problem, Ninad. Happy to help. What's up, man? Zondi? Good morning. Hope you're well. Full of manufacturing reports. Yes, we do have quite a few of them. Just had some pound news earlier today. I think we got some USD news as well. Yeah, USD 2:45 p.m. UK time and 3 o'clock as well. Yeah, so a bit more news in the afternoon. Anyway, in terms of Aussie yen, I don't like Aussie yen, Godfrey. Do not like it at all. Very, very corrective. I mean, I say I don't like it. The reason I don't like it is because of the consolidation. The moment it breaks out, I'll start to like it again. So, that's the reason I don't like it. It's not necessarily just don't like Aussie yen. But yeah, with this one, a lot of consolidation. If I do expand to the daily chart, it looks like price may be trying to form a higher low. So you had the low over there, another one there, and it looks like potentially we're forming a third one. So in my book, it looks like price may be forming that third high low to go back and retest that high. So essentially, if we can see a breakout of this consolidation to the upside, I would say the pullbacks and retest of the high there should look pretty good. And hopefully we can look to swing it back to that high or somewhere close to. So yeah, with Aussie yen, if we can break out the consolidation, that's really what we're looking for. And yeah, pullbacks and continuations after that will look pretty good. As long as we stay within that range, I'm not interested in price at all, really. Difficult to restructure, difficult to find entries, difficult to get a good stop loss as well, which is one of the big reasons why I would avoid trading in a range, because you could still be in the right direction, but price will probably find a way to try and take your stop loss out before that happens, just because we'll be fluctuating a lot more. So that's one of the big reasons why I would avoid trading in the middle of a range. But yeah, if we can do something like this, that would be fantastic. And then we've got some targets back at the high to look at. But the key thing is breaking through that range high, and then we can look for opportunities. And even if we do break to the downside, it could be some nice shorts on the way down as well. Pound CHF looking really bullish. Looks like we just respected the low of the range really well. Paul, you said you're in a long position, targeting 1.13178. 1.13178. Okay, so somewhere around there. So yeah, essentially prices had a really nice rejection of the low of the range here. There's your lows, there's your highs over here, and prices being rebounding between those levels pretty well. And yeah, we had a lot of rejection the past few days. We were mentioning this quite a few times. One of the better rejections of a range you'll see, and now price is looking pretty bullish since retesting that level. So yeah, I would say price looks really good to get back to the high of the range. I would always say with when you're looking to trade a range, I would always say keep an eye on the 50% of the range, because that's always a nice place to book profits. And if the market is going to be a bit weird, which sometimes it is with pound CHF, I'd say the 50% is always an area where price may decide to start to consolidate and maybe come back and retest that level, which is always not fun, especially when you've got some floating profits on the line there as well. So the 50%, which looks like we're breaking through, but it's always a nice place to potentially book partials, or at least remove your risk from the trade, and maybe trail stops if you want to. Of course, I probably wouldn't suggest trading stops inside a range just because of the fluctuation, but at least would put it break even so there's no risk on the table. But yeah, I would say a push back to your level looks pretty possible. If we are going to continue the range there, then naturally I'll be expecting price to get back to the high of it, which is around 1.135. So yeah, I would say pound CHF is looking really good. Very bullish at the moment. Looks like CHF's a bit weak, I think. We'll go through some CHF pairs late in the stream, but I think CHF's a bit weak. And I have to say it's a solid rejection of that low. So yeah, I definitely like that idea. And momentum is definitely on your side. Okay. Short from 94.5 to 95. I was looking to get along to ride it up. Okay. So yeah, you mentioned that a couple of days ago, didn't you? So yeah, I'm looking at pretty much the same situation except the buys to get there. I'm looking at shorts as well from this area. So we'll see how that pans out. But yeah, I'll go through some of the yen pairs. So essentially for pound yen, as I said, looking for sells from that zone. Now, it might not necessarily be the sells I'm looking for, to be honest. As I've been saying, I've been looking for a really big sell back to these lows and potentially further as well. I'm looking at potentially a big correction for the yen pair. So we had that really lovely impulse, and looking at this as a prolonged correction for another continuation to the low. So that's my thought process on the higher time frames. However, it's not looking too good in terms of trading that. And in terms of a great place to sell, it would be back at the high, because that's where I can get a great entry, a nice stop loss, and really maximize the risk reward. Entries here, because I'm kind of starting to look at price as a bit more of a consolidation right now. We failed to create new higher highs. We failed to create new lower lows. More of a characteristic, not of a textbook consolidation, but a market that's a bit more on the choppy side of things. So this is a nice level for a short, but I wouldn't be as confident to try and hold this position back to these lows, because the market is still putting in higher lows in. We've got initially a higher low there, second one there as well, third one there too, and potentially a fourth one there as well. So excuse me, the market is still pretty consistent with these higher lows, and we're not breaking through them. So, the probability of me now catching the high that will actually be the break of all of this is pretty low now. So I would rather wait for price to push back to the high here to look for that big trade anyway, because I know that, okay, if I do catch it right, risk reward will definitely be very, very rewarding. I can get a decent stop loss above the high, and overall, I'm kind of at the extreme as well. So it's either make or break, because if the market does break through that, then we probably won't get the sell anyway. It'll probably just be a situation where we just continue higher up. So yeah, with pound yen, because of those high lows the market is making, um, the shorts I'm looking for from this level won't be as long term as initially I was looking for. But if I can catch a reaction even halfway down, that's something where I can look to lock in some gains, trail stop loss maybe, and see what happens. Maybe we do sell off, great. Are we looking to hold onto the position? If we don't and we turn around and we form another higher low, just like we've been doing, 1, 2, 3, 4, could be forming number 5. At least I'm protected against that as well. So it's a nice level to short from, because it was really solid support. We had a really nice breakout of it, really yet to come back and retest it. So it looks good to short from. But in terms of how far, yeah, I'm not being so optimistic with the shorts, as we are still keeping up those higher lows. In terms of euro yen, this one broke structure to the upside. Was it yesterday or the day before? Day before Wednesday, we broke structure to the upside. So I haven't really been looking to trade euro yen since that happened. Again, the plan was for euro yen to keep up with these lower highs. 1, 2, 3 was looking for number 4. Didn't get that this week. We broke to the upside, closed above that high. So that has invalidated those shorts. And now I do fancy a push back to the high here, which is at 164.8. So with euro yen, I did have a really bearish bias on that 4-hour time frame. Now the 4 hours are looking pretty bullish. I'm still pretty bearish on the daily charts and above. Again, same as pound yen, still looking for the correction and the continuation of that drop last year, July. But in terms of entries for that, I'll still like to see a push back to the high before taking that sell. And at the moment, judging the 4-hour time frame, it's looking pretty likely we'll see that. So yeah, from an intraday point of view, things are looking pretty bullish here for pound yen. Really strong sell to the downside, and the price is now breaking through the highs like it was nothing. I think this is off the reaction from the news this morning. So with pound yen and euro yen, I'll be looking at impulse corrections and more upside. And for euro yen's case, I'll be looking to anticipate a push at least back to 164.8. As I said, I do think we'll probably push back to the high there, and that's where I'll be looking to take that longer term sell from 166.5. But for now, euro yen still looking pretty bullish. Really confident close on that 4-hour candle. Nice break, and we tested the prior high. It looks like we're just going to continue really. So yeah, euro yen looking pretty bullish as well. CHF JPY, I was looking to short this one as well during the week, but never really set up for me as well. I was looking for price to retest this area and reject it, but we broke above, then we closed above it as support. We have broken back below, but it's not clean anymore. It's not clean cut entry for me, so I'm staying on the sidelines. This one hasn't broken structure yet because I think CHF is a bit weak, so that's why we haven't really seen CHF JPY make that push to the upside. But equally, it's not looking great anymore. Price action in terms of the entry is not looking clean. So I'm going to stay put with CHF JPY. And from an intraday point of view, we are still pretty consistent with these higher lows. It looks like we were putting in another one there as well. So yeah, with CHF JPY, with things developing as we are right now, probably will go and break the high here, just like we did with CHF Euro Yen, just like we did with Pound Yen, and probably go and do something like this and take us back to the high there at 175. So not really interested with hey, appreciate it. CS integrated. Bounce from Yumiko, technical DXY and bounce from. Okay, we'll go take a look at DXY. Appreciate it though, CS integrated with the Singaporean dollar there. I think that's probably the first Singaporean dollar donation. But yeah, really appreciate it, man. Really do appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But yeah, we'll go take a look at the dollar. I guess, because you dropped a little donation there, so got to put it as top priority. Anyway, with the dollar, yeah, things are not looking too good with the dollar right now. Things are not looking too good with the dollar. This level's make or break for me. Um, yeah, slight bounce, but this is not looking too good for me. Oh, well, it's not looking too good at the moment, but things can change. Essentially, in terms of my bullish bias for the dollar, price needs to respect this 107, 250 area. If we can respect that area, then I do think dollar can turn around. If we start breaking through, that's when I'll hold my hands up and rethink my bias long term. Because essentially, for me to stay bullish, we need to stay above that high. Because my thought process with the bullish bias this year with the dollar has relied on us having a big breakout. So if that's no longer true, then my bias is no longer true either. So if we continue to the downside here and break underneath that zone, I would be pretty bearish going forward, because that's a pretty big fake out, and I would imagine a lot of momentum in the opposite direction. But yeah, we've had a bit of a bounce from this area. Nice reaction, just a bit short-lived, to be honest. Price to come into a nice area of support. You can see all these rejections, and we had a bit of one on Wednesday. Was that? Yeah, Wednesday. But now you're just going to crack straight through. So in terms of the intraday bias for dollar, things are looking pretty bearish. I would imagine we probably will see a bit more downside. I'm keeping an eye on this area here, this consolidation, because we did spend a few days here before had a really nice move to the upside for that momentum. So I would say that this area could potentially give us a nice bounce. Of course, whether it will get all the way back to the high or not, that's a completely different question. But to me, that does look like a nice area for a buy still for the dollar. It's just up to the dollar whether it's a continuation for a push back to the highs or just a reaction for us to keep falling. But for now, 107.2 looks like a really nice area, really nice consolidation, big strong move. Haven't yet come back to revisit that area. So in terms of buys, if that's what you're looking to do, I would say 107.2 looks good. This little range here. And then we'll see what happens. And I think that lines up pretty well with that daily high as well. If I drag that across, yeah, pretty much in the same zone as well. So we'll see if dollar can hold this. If not, we might be seeing a pretty weak dollar for the foreseeable future. But yeah, that's really where I'm at with the dollar. That is really where I'm at with the dollar. It was a nice reaction on Wednesday, but short-lived, and now we're breaking the lows again. So yeah, that's really where I'm at with USD. Okay, I'll take a look at pound USD and gold. And Aussie CHF as well, and I'll get back to the end pairs before I forget them. So yeah, pound USD, I still like to the downside, to be honest. I still like the shorts for this one. I've highlighted this area here at 1.25. I think that looks like a great area for some shorts, and I'm still very much interested in taking this lower. However, we need to wait for that development for entries before we can get short. Same with USD as well. But they're both coming into areas where we could bounce from. The dollar's coming to an area where we can turn around and see some upside. Pound's coming to an area where, again, we can turn around and see some downside. I'm still looking at this high, which gave us this low here, this massive bearish leg. If we draw the fib from the high to the low, I think we are coming to the 0.5, 0.618. So it's a healthy retracement we're seeing for the dollar, for pound, sorry. Now it's up to pound USD if it's going to give us the confirmations to short. But essentially what I want to see is a bit more upside, reject that area, find some entries, and then hopefully we can take some shorts. Maybe back to the low. Even if it's not back to the low, even if it's halfway, we can still look to book some profits along the way, trail a stop loss. In that case, even if the market does move halfway, you can still very much look to lock in some gains and be prepared for price to turn around. But yeah, in terms of entries, I'm still very much keen on some shorts. We had a lot of momentum in that prior bearish leg. So I'm liking the quality of the setup here for the shorts. Just need to wait for a good entry And yeah, hopefully a target back at that low. But yeah, pound USD still bearish, still looking at more downside. And in terms of gold, very, very bullish on this one. Looking for price to get back to the all-time high, essentially, which is 27.90. If I draw out the wick there, it's probably around there-ish. Yeah, so 27.90, expecting that move. I was looking for the retest of 27.20 yesterday, but gold just wasn't bearish enough. Had a nice reaction, but we flipped bullish pretty quickly, and now I just expect us to go and take out the high. I did suggest, for an intraday point of view, there might be some short-term pullbacks for some buys on the maybe 30-minute time frame. Maybe price can pull back, retest that high. That could provide some nice buys maybe later today, or if not early next week, to then ride it back to the all-time high. But in terms of where gold is going, I'd say there's a very, very, very high chance that we create new all-time highs in the next coming days. Yeah, very, very high chance, because the probability of us suddenly just turning around here and just not making an all-time high is very, very slim, especially after breaking that resistance. If you're going to turn around for gold, it was probably going to happen at this resistance here. If price was going to sell off, it probably was at this 27.20 level. Now that we've broken through that level with ease pretty much, I would say these highs are very likely to be taken out pretty soon. So yeah, gold's really bullish. If you can find some intraday pullbacks, keep an eye out for it. That might be the best opportunity you can find. If price can retest the zone, that would be great as well. But I don't see that being the likely move anymore. So yeah, more upside for gold, and we probably will make new highs. Okay, let me go through Aussie C Chef for Carcera. Hope I'm saying that correctly. Aussie dollar. Why did I type Aussie dollar? Aussie C Chef. My bad. Oh, there we go. Okay, so Aussie C Chef looking fairly bullish. Looks like AUD is a bit strong today, isn't it? I think Aussie and New Zealand dollar a little bit strong. But yeah, with this one, we're still doing a pretty good job at respecting support. This was a massive level of support, which I was actually looking for price to break, so I can get the sales back into the low here, but it didn't quite happen. Price is still respecting support there pretty well. There is a big range here for Aussie CHF. I would say between these two areas, 0.56200, 0.56586, we're just fluctuating between these two levels. So now that the price has broken through that level of support, I would anticipate potentially another swing back to the highs again, 0.586. So I wouldn't mind longs for Aussie CHF really. In terms of entries, that's where it gets a little bit tricky, because best place for entries was back at support, back down at that key level. Next best place would probably be coming back to retest some highs here. So let's see if we can get a bit more upside, correct another higher low. That's probably your next best opportunity. Again, maybe not the best area in the world, just because you're kind of hovering in the middle of the range. At least here you can get a really nice refined stop loss in a safe area. Here, stop loss is not as safe, but again, it might be the best opportunity you can get in terms of riding that momentum back to the next level. So yeah, Aussie CHF looks pretty bullish to me. I do think we can see more upside. The fact that we've failed to break through that daily level, it explains a lot, really. It tells a lot. So I would expect another swing back to the highs. So I'd watch out for probably this area. I'll say that could be a nice target to have, 0.581. But I would expect more upside for Aussie CHF. Yeah, very, very true. CS integrated. Yeah, waiting for the news could be a smart play. Could break 107.2 or stay in the range. Okay, so that's the prior low. Yeah, it might do that. It might do that. Of course, depends what the news does today. But I mean, we do have news a little bit late today, so after the news today, I think the market might look a little bit stale. So in terms of trades in the dollar, it might be best either to wait till next week. Because if you do find entries after the news, especially because it's a Friday, it might tend to dry up a little bit as we go deeper into the day. But yeah, there might be some momentum, so keep an eye on that. But we will see what the news does bring. Everything's missing my zones at the moment. I haven't had a trade in the whole week. It happens. It happens. Will. Because again, with trading, it's always swings. It always comes and goes. There's no consistency in trading, even with your strategy. You could have some periods where your strategy is performing really, really well, and sometimes where it's performing pretty poorly. You have times where you have so many trades, you have to kind of pick and choose which ones you want to take because you can't take them all. And there'll be times where there is no trades and you kind of just sit on your hands a little bit, playing with your thumbs. So everything comes and goes in swings, and a big part of trading is just managing those swings, really, because they can play a toll on you mentally if you're not prepared to them, prepared to experience them. So if you have those experiences where you're taking a lot of trades and then sometimes you're not taking any trades, I would say that's actually a positive because it means that you're probably staying consistent with your plan pretty well. If you're always taking 5 trades every single week without fail, that means you're probably taking some trades you shouldn't be taking because every strategy will have periods where there's a lot of opportunities and not many opportunities. If you're taking 5 trades every single week, again, 5 is just a random number I pulled out my head. It could be 10, it could be 2. But if you're taking the same amount of trades every single week, then you're probably taking trades you shouldn't be taking. It should fluctuate. Yeah, I would say that's a healthy sign that you're following your rules and you're sticking to them. But of course, you would like to take trades, of course, but some trades are definitely not worth taking, especially if it's not within your plan as well. Anyway, so we'll go to the yen pairs and we'll finish that off. We'll take a look at the yen basket as well. So we went through CHFJ, went through Euro yen, pound yen, took a look at Aussie yen as well. Let me go through CAD yen, then we'll go through New Zealand yen and dollar yen. So yeah, CAD yen, again, very choppy stuff here for CAD yen. Not looking great, to be honest, in terms of the cleanliness of the price action, the clarity of it. It's not looking particularly great. Again, with CAD yen, I'll still be eyeing up a move back to 111.3. Just like GJ, just like Euro yen, just like Aussie yen, just like Swiss yen as well. I'd like to see move back to these highs here. And then again, hopefully we can start to look for those shorts. I'm still looking at a really big impulse of this bearish leg, looking at that correction, and then possibly a really big continuation off the back of that. So I am pretty bearish longer term with CAD yen. However, we're not there yet. So I would say some buys could be looking good. Let's say if we start breaking back above this zone, because this is a pretty strong level of support, which of course is acting as resistance. It looks like price is probably going to break through that. So I would suggest some buys would be looking good intraday to ride it at least back to the high here. But again, I would expect us to get to 111.5, which is a resistance I'm looking to short from. But yeah, in my book, CAD yen is looking pretty bullish. I think looking across the board, a lot of the yen pairs are looking pretty bullish this morning. Of course, we just had some major news not long ago, so looks like price might still be reacting to that. And we are seeing some bullish momentum across the board for these yen pairs. So with CAD yen, I would suggest more upside is likely. There is a lot of resistance just above us, but I do think we can probably break through that. And then, of course, some pullbacks after that would make a lot of sense. Push back to the high at 110.34, and then we can go from there. But yeah, to me, it looks like CAD yen is probably going to push to the upside as well. In terms of New Zealand yen, I'm pretty sure this is still within the range. So not really interested in price action again until we can finally break that out. Equal highs over there, equal lows here, and the market is just consolidating between the two levels, 89.35 and 86.9, pretty much 87. So just like what I said with Aussie yen, if we keep this up, high low there, another high low there, we're probably going to push back to the high here at 92.290. So I would suggest that we're probably going to get a break to the upside. And if we do, there could be some really nice longs on the way up for potentially some nice shorts on the way back down. So something like this will look good, correction. And yeah, just looking to ride those higher lows, maybe initially a retest of the zone and then a higher low somewhere else. But it does look like we might be pushing back to the high at 92.300. But for now, we need to break out that range first. Otherwise, we might just respect the high again and then just sell back over, which isn't something I'm really interested in with New Zealand yen. But yeah, I'm bullish on these pairs. At least from an intraday point of view, it looks like the yen pairs are probably going to push on a little bit. I am looking to sell them long term still, but they're not quite set up for that yet, so I have to be patient. And in terms of dollar yen's actually a pair which I'm looking to buy, but it looks like it's still just missing my levels for entries, unfortunately. I like the price action for dollar yen. This is really the area which I want to buy from. Nice pullback. Again, looking at the higher time frames, still looking very bullish to me. I do think price can push back to the highs there, 161.800. Of course, the next main target will be back to these highs here. We still do have really confident bullish structure on our hands. And it would be nice to see a slightly deeper pullback, test that 50. Then, of course, we can look for a swing back to that high. So dollar yen is actually yen pair, which if I do get the confirmations, I'll be looking to buy. But yeah, we're just kind of hovering above that support level, and we're doing a pretty good job to respect it as well. So I wonder, is price just going to continue from here? I mean, it's a bit more of a consolidation, if anything, but it would be nice if you can maybe break to the downside and then push. And this is where I find my entries. But yeah, dollar yen, I do still see a move back to 158.5. But it might come from that support level, which is a little bit annoying because it's just above the level I want to buy from. But we'll see if we can make that move. It's moving sideways anyway, so even though it's rejecting that support pretty well, it could very much come back into resistance and sell back off again. So yeah, that's the situation of a range. You can never really trust the candlesticks inside a range until we break out, because price could be looking very bullish or bearish, and then quickly turn around. But yeah, that's really roughly where I'm at with the yen pairs. Yep, very, very true. Very, very true. I agree. Loss are inevitable when one tries to force a trade. Ignoring your trading principles can be very costly. 100%. 100%. I mean, it is essentially a business we're trying to run here. I know it's not necessarily got the feelings of a business, but it is, because we're here to make a profit. I don't think anyone's here to just stare at candlesticks all day. I think we're all here to make a profit. And just like for any business, you have a plan for the business and you look to act on that plan. And if you start deviating from that plan, sure, you can have a change of plans, just like you can update or change or have a second plan for your trading. But the moment you start to deviate from that and do things on the fly, especially emotional decisions, it can definitely make or break a business and definitely make or break your trading as well. So it can be very, very costly to deviate from your rules. But I think one big advice I would say is, if you do feel yourself starting to deviate from your plan, um, you need to build confidence with your plan, because the more confident you are with your plan, the less likely you are to deviate, because you trust it and you trust it to to give you the results you want to see. Um, if you start deviating from your plan, it's probably because you're not as confident in the plan itself. Of course, there could be other reasons, but that could be a big one as well. So if you're not that confident, you need to get back to the drawing board, test it well, see the results, see if those results are the results you're looking for. And if they are, then that should give you a little bit more help to stick to your plan during times where you're on a bit of drawdown and you might feel the need to change things up. But yeah, that's kind of really where I'm at for the yen pairs. If I go through the yen basket, are we looking pretty bearish? Yes, we are. Ooh, look at that. So it does not look like we're getting the retest of 6,400. That was the high I was looking for price to come back and retest. I think that was on Wednesday as well. But again, looking at that price action this morning, especially with those wicks to the upside, it's looking really, really bearish right now. Of course, kind of bleeding at the moment, but looking at those kind of tweezer top wicks there, 1, 2, and then that momentum shift, looks like we're breaking through the lows there as well. That's probably a strong sign that we're going to continue lower. You can see we printed this lower high over there, just before, just after we printed that low, and then we created another lower low. This looks like the next lower high in that sequence, and looks like we're probably going to sell off back to these lows here at 6,200. So yeah, yen pair is looking very bearish, and that would mean that the yen pairs are probably going to push up, pound yen, euro yen as well. So yeah, it's looking like we're going to get a bit more downside for the yen basket, and just depends whether we break through that floor or not, because we still can probably come back to this level here, and that's really the level which I'm looking for price to turn around from. If we can hold at this level of support, we could look for a pretty big sell, pretty big buy, sorry. If price does break through that area, then yeah, at that point, I would just expect us to end up back at this low in the next few days, few weeks, really. Because if we don't hold that support level, the probability of us suddenly turning around here is quite slim now. So I would be looking at something like this, right back to where we came from. And of course, pound yen, I'll be looking at that as well. Euro yen, CAD yen, you name it. But at least intraday, things are looking pretty bearish here for the yen basket. So yeah, we'll probably will see a bit of a push to the upside for the yen pairs. So yeah, that's kind of really where I'm at. I'll probably just keep an eye on dollar yen now, because that's the only one that looks good, at least for the buys anyway, on the time frames I'm looking to trade. So hopefully dollar yen can see that push. If not, yeah, we're probably just going to move to the upside anyway. In terms of the USD pairs, I like pound USD as well, so I'm going to keep a very close eye on that one for some shorts, and keep a close eye on the dollar as well if it can hold support. I like this zone here, and if it can react well, I do think we can see some upside, and that could take us a lot higher, but maybe not essentially back to the highs there, which is what I'm looking for. We'll see, but I'm definitely going to give myself the opportunity to potentially swing it up there. So trailing stops, if it is a big move, great. I'll trail stops behind me for a bit of room. If I do get trailed out, I do get trailed out. But yeah, that would be my thinking there with the DXY. In terms of the indices, I was supposed to look at them earlier, but I completely forgot. Seem to always forget the indices. Okay, so US 30 is looking very, very bullish at this moment in time. Is anyone looking to trade the indices at all? Because they're looking very, very bullish. So yeah, I would only be looking at buys. We're not really seeing that bigger pullback, which I suggested on Wednesday. Looks like we're just seeing these intraday pullbacks here, slight dips in the market, and we're just flying to the upside from that. So with US 30, because we still got a bit of a way to go to get back to the all-time highs. Pretty sure these are the all-time highs. Yeah, I think they are. We still got a bit of a way to get back to the all-time highs for US 30. So again, if we could see price have a bit of a correction, I like this range here. I mean, maybe it's a bit optimistic looking for a pullback there for a continuation, but I think we are a little bit stretched right now. We've seen two really big moves, one there, second one there, without much of a pullback. So I do think we are due at least a pullback. Whether we'll get all the way back down here to retest that range, again, difficult to say, but I think that is a smart place for a buy. Find some entries there, take it back to where we came from, which is the high there, but more importantly, back to the all-time highs, which is all the way over there as well, and that could turn into a really nice swing trade as well. But yeah, in terms of direction, US 30 expecting all-time highs pretty soon. Consistent higher highs and high lows on the lower time frames, and still seeing really impressive bullish momentum. So yeah, if you can find some pullbacks for this one, I would suggest there's a pretty good chance we continue flying. In terms of the NAS, So this one did see a bit of retracement yesterday, but not quite enough to come back and retest this area. We've had a bit of a move to the upside past 24 hours. Hasn't created new highs just yet. I would suggest if the Nas had one more sell-off to the downside, back into these lows, that could provide some nice setups to take it back up again to the high. And then potentially we could be looking at price pushing back to the all-time high, which is, of course, over there, just above 22,100. So yeah, very, very bullish here for the NASDAQ as well. We've taken out these highs down the left. These are the highs giving us those lower highs. And potentially we could have, continued to sell off, but we've broken through that and seen continuous higher highs and higher lows since then. So as long as that continues, I just expect us to make a retest of the high, as the NASDAQ always does, as the S&P always does, as the Dow Jones always does as well. We always get back to the all-time high. And at this point, I don't really see much in our way, much blocking our path to the all-time high. So if you can see a bit of a dip, that's probably a really good time to be looking for a buy. Retest those lows, maybe even better, retest these areas here, should we see a pretty big move. But in terms of direction, expecting a push back to the all-time highs. But I think S&P, not S&P, I think NAS 100 and US 30 look the best, because if I look at S&P, I'm pretty sure this one's already made all-time highs. Yeah, so already trading above the all-time highs there. So this one isn't as attractive anymore. I mean, it's still very bullish, don't get me wrong, and we probably still could see higher prices. But the reason why the NASDAQ is a lot more attractive and US 30 is a lot more attractive is because we haven't made those all-time highs yet. We've still got some distance to cover. We've still got a reason to head higher. S&P can kind of start looking at some retracements now. Now that we have made new all-time highs, price might get a little bit tired now, and we might go through a bit of a pullback. Because if you think about it, anyone who was buying the S&P, most of their targets, if they're looking for shorter, medium-term trades, would be back at the all-time high. So once price has done that, a lot of people will be looking to take off positions and close them. Anyone who's still trading the NASDAQ, anyone who's still trading S&P, again, for a bit more of a medium-term swing, will have their targets probably at the all-time high, which we're not there yet. So people are still holding to buying positions. Sellers are not quite jumping into the market yet with S&P. Now that we have created new all-time highs, sellers will be looking to jump into the market. Again, whether they're successful or not in terms of pushing price down, that's a different question. We could still push a lot higher first before we do go through our first dip. But it will be a fact that new sellers do jump in, buyers exit, because we've done our job. But S&P, I keep saying S&P, but NASDAQ hasn't quite done that yet. So buyers still looking to hold into positions back to the high there. US 30 still looking to hold into positions as well, back to the all-time high over there as well. So I expect these guys to see a lot more upside. And again, because they move the same way, S&P will probably see upside too. But it might not see as much compared to US 30 and NASDAQ. So I'd say these guys look a lot more attractive to trade at the moment in time. And let me have a quick look at Bitcoin whilst I'm on the topic. So yeah, Bitcoin not looking too good, I must say. I know we created new all-time highs pretty not long ago. We created new all-time highs, but I have to say we're just very, very corrective. When price creates all-time highs, you want price to break through and just keep going. It doesn't have to be a crazy move, but not wick through the all-time high and then start to consolidate afterwards. Not really a healthy sign. It looks like Bitcoin may potentially form a bigger range. But again, looking at the higher time frames, putting things into context and looking at the bigger picture, the way I see it right now for Bitcoin is that we've had a really impulsive move, really big consolidation, another big impulsive move. This to me just looks like another consolidation. So even if we do reject the high and come back down, I do think eventually price will just break to the upside and see the next swing. If we do break to the downside, then it's probably to come back and retest this range here. But then again, I would expect price to keep pushing up. So overall, I'm very bullish on Bitcoin. Yes, looking at the lower time frames, there's some evidence that we're slowing down. no longer seeing price rip through the high, and we are a bit more corrective and moving a lot slower. But in terms of the bigger move, it's still likely to the upside. So if you're looking to get involved with some buys for Bitcoin, I would say there's three areas I would consider. Number one, the break and retest of the high. Let's say we get another confident break of the high. Retest could be looking good after that. Let me do that again. So a break and retest of the high doesn't have to be that big. I'm not too sure why I drew it that big, but at least a confident break. The second area could just be looking to retest the low of the range here as well, find some buys off that area. And the third area would be the retest of this range back down here. Should we get a breakout of the consolidation to the downside, I think that looks like a really nice area for a buy. So those would be the three areas I would consider some longs. And hopefully we can find some opportunities pretty soon with Bitcoin. But yeah, we're stuck in the range, stuck at the high more specifically. So until we do one of those three setups, I would stay away. A good broker firm in the UK. I mean, I don't even use a broker in the UK, to be honest, because you can get more leverage outside the UK. I would recommend IC Markets. They're Australian brokers, the broker that I've used for a very, very long time. No real issues with them. Very, very big broker as well. So I would suggest them because you get a lot more leverage with that broker as well. I don't even use a broker in the UK. So I would suggest IC Markets. Ali, go next 200 pips to take weekly high, then fall. Could do. Wait, which market are you talking about? Are you talking about Bitcoin? Because you've already taken out the highs. And these are the highs you're talking about. Anyway, I'll go through some of the wrong channel. Wrong YouTube channel. Yeah. Anyway, we'll go through some of the crosses. We'll go through pound NZD, pound Aussie, because those I'm looking actually for some longs. We'll take a look at Euro NZD and Euro Aussie as well, Euro pound, and then we'll go through some C-share pairs as well. What's up, Ali? Hope you are well. So yeah, as I said, pound NZD and pound Aussie, I like these currency pairs at the moment in time. I'm looking for some longs. We talked briefly about pound NZD early in the stream, but I am still looking for buying opportunities with this one. You can see how consistent we are with these higher lows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm looking for number 6 on the retest of that high there. So I do want to see a bit more downside for pound NZD before I do start to look for some longs. But the idea is I'm looking to try and catch the next higher low. And if everything goes well, potentially a swing back to the high again as well. But we'll see how that does develop. If we do get that big swing there. But at the moment in time, we're kind of seeing some consolidation. So we'll see what happens with that. But I am looking to see if we can get one more push down. I'll see what type of confirmations I can get. And hopefully some buys from that same zone. And then we'll see how far we can take it. But yeah, very, very bullish for pound NZD, very consistent with the higher lows. So as long as we maintain that and we don't come crashing down and break the low there, then that's when I'll kind of hold back a little bit. We probably will be seeing a bit more downside at that point, of a head and shoulder pattern forming. So that will be a key element I do keep a close eye on, whether we respect that high or not. But for now, we are respecting it, and I would want to see a bit more downside just to see what we can do in the retest of that zone, and hopefully some longs shortly after. Pound Aussie, to me, looks just as good. Really nice high over there on the daily, weekly chart. So I'm looking for price to come a little bit lower, but of course, we're doing the same thing, which is being very consistent with these higher lows. So I'm looking for the next one, again, in that same area. At the moment, pound Aussie is doing the same as pound NZD, which is consolidating just above my zone. So I kind of want to see price make that move down, and hopefully you can find some longs to take it back up again. So that's essentially really what I'm looking at for pound Aussie and pound NZD. But again, because they're very, very much the same pair, they tend to do the same thing 90% of the time, really. So I'm not looking to take them both, but I'll see which one forms the better price action, the cleaner price action, maybe the healthier risk reward, and then I'll look to trade that one. But I'm looking to take this to the upside here for pound Aussie and pound NZD. So keep an eye on both of them. Probably a trade for next week at this rate. It's already Friday and price is not quite at that level yet. Even if you do make a move down in the New York session, it's probably not going to set up for me anyway until next week. So I'll keep an eye on them, but like I said, it's probably a situation where I do take entries next week at some point. But yeah, looking for some buys there for pound NZD and pound Aussie. In terms of Euro NZD and Euro Aussie, I do not like these pairs at all, and I'm staying away really, to be honest. I can tell Euro NZD is trading at some massive resistance where we could really turn around and could see a lot of downside. But it looks like we're kind of struggling. It looks like price is kind of consolidating at that same area. So it's a bit of a weird one. If we can see price break out that consolidation, that probably would be the green flag to say that, okay, we're going to sell off now and see some downside. But at this moment in time, you can see prices really struggling at that same zone. So yeah, with Euro NZD, I do like the overall kind of location of where we are, because if this is a range and price is at the top of it, we could look at a breakout, of course, but if price does respect this, there could be a really big sell. But at the moment in time, it's just kind of stuck in that consolidation, so I wouldn't look to get involved until I see some signs of a breakout there, of this range, of course, not the bigger one. In terms of Euro Aussie, this one's, again, not looking great either. This one's not looking great either. If I go to the high time frames, you can see price is respecting that high there pretty well, but again, it's not trending well. Again, in terms of the conditions I'm looking for in a market, I want to see clear-cut trends, highs and lows, lower lows and lower highs. Just not seeing that at the moment with Euro Aussie, Euro NZD, which is the big separation between Euro Aussie, Euro NZD and pound Aussie, pound NZD. Those do have some clear higher highs and higher lows in a clear direction, whereas these guys are a bit flat. I suppose that's their direction, but that's not the direction I want to trade in. So yeah, with Euro Aussie, again, there's a couple of areas where we could sell off from this high or that high. This one's pretty flat as well, so I do expect to see a push back down to the low. And yeah, we could do it from either one of these areas. Similar to Euro NZD, we're kind of consolidating right now. So price can make a nice candlestick close below that support level. That would probably be the nice catalyst to get us rolling. If we do break to the upside, then yeah, looking at the same thing from that high. But these are not pairs which I'm interested in, to be honest. So I'll be staying away and hopefully holding onto pound NZD and pound Aussie as well. Antonio, if with the XY movement during Republican cycles, take a look at during 2016 last. Yeah, I know price has been pretty bearish since when Trump was in last. Again, I'm just very much focused on the price action, Antonio. If things change from the price action standpoint, if a bullish trend turns bearish or a bearish trend turns bullish, then I'll look to change my direction. But at the moment with the dollar, for me to be bearish on this one, I need to see price break through that 107 or 106.5 support level. We go to the daily chart. So yeah, if price can break back underneath this high here, I will be looking for some sells again, because that to me will be a massive fake of the high. Then I'll be looking for something like this longer term. So if that's the case, then yeah, I'll be looking for shorts again. If we hold that support, then I'm still bullish because the trend's still up. But yeah, that's what my indicator essentially from a technical standpoint, which is going to make me bearish. Good morning, Anthony. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well. Haven't traded all week. I'm looking at the NAS for an entry. Okay. Are you looking for buys, Anthony? For the NAS, it's looking pretty bullish at the moment. Probably we'll see a bit more upside. Hey, let me take a look at the NAS first. Then I'll go through Euro Pound. But yeah, NAS is looking pretty bullish to me, so I do think we'll probably see a bit more upside for that one. I said it would be nice if we were to have a push down. Again, this is the hourly chart, and it's already coming up to 12 o'clock UK time anyway. So you got another 10 hours ish, but again, not really 10 hours because the weekly candle will close and daily candle will close at 10. But you're not going to be looking to trade till 10, are you? The market volume will start to decrease probably around 6, 7. And even then, it's a little bit late as well. So you really got about another 6 hours left of decent momentum-ish for the week until next week as well. So in 6 hours, you're going to get 6 hourly candle closures, and you need pretty bearish 6 candles to at least get back to the lows here in terms of entries. So even if we do get there, you probably won't get some entries until early next week. But yeah, I do like NAS the upside. I think the buys look good. I mean, you could be looking for entries in this area, but I think it's a bit no man's land a little bit, so I'm not overly keen on that. But if we were to come back into support, I think that could look good, or even retest the high there as well. I think that could look even better. In terms of the 4-hour chart, yeah, a lot of momentum still in this one, consistent high lows as well. I would imagine that the NAS is probably destined to come back to that all-time high and probably create some new all-time highs pretty soon as well. So with with excuse me, my voice just went there. But with the NAS, everything is still looking very bullish. So I would imagine more upside with that one, more upside with the S&P, more upside with the NAS as well. Haven't looked at the DAX or the UK 100 yet, so I'll take a look at that in a second. But I'd only be interested in buys. I understand if you're looking to maybe take advantage of some retracement, so maybe you're trying to take advantage of some sells here. But I would say keep it very short term because the trend is very bullish, and I think there's a very high chance that we create all-time highs. I think the probability of price suddenly selling off from here is very, very slim. We probably take up the highs first before do something like that. So yeah, more upside for NAS is pretty likely. In terms of the DAX, last time I looked at this guy, he was absolutely flying. And is that still the case? Yeah, pretty much. Still looking really bullish as well. I do like the level here at 2,500. I think that looks like a really nice level for a buy. But yeah, you're going to need some pullbacks there because we're very, very far away from that. But in all honesty, I wasn't actually expecting us to actually get the retest of this level because we were looking very, very bullish above this. At the time, I was saying this looks like a great level for a breaking retest, but because we've just flown so far, I didn't expect us to come back and retest that, but we did, and it played out very, very well. And it's the same situation with this. We've broken so far away from this level. It's kind of like it's going to take a lot of energy for us to come back and retest that. You can see we had a really aggressive sell-off to actually get that retest. Probably need to see something similar happen there for the DAX as well to get that retest that zone. So I'm not going to rule it out because that just goes to show you anything can happen. In terms of the quality of the setup, really healthy breakout, confident breakout. Haven't yet come back to retest the zone. Really nice prior high. So I would imagine there's a good chance of a rejection of that area, just like we did last time. But whether we'll see a pullback that big or not, again, it's a situation where you just have to wait and see, really. But from an intraday level, things are still pretty bullish as well. So in the meantime, I would say focus on the intraday longs as well. Yeah, this is a nice consolidation, nice break to the upside. If price can come back, retest the high, that looks like a great place for a long, and possibly some new highs there as well. Okay, Antonio. Anthony, yes, sir. Okay, nice. Yeah, I would say buys look really good. So, but it won't probably set up in my eyes till next week. So, yeah, it might be a week where you're sitting on the sidelines, which again, nothing wrong with that. You got to look at your trading in terms of the longer vision, the bigger picture. If you look at your trading, zoomed in, trade to trade, you're going to be up and down in terms of your emotions. One week you're taking no trades, another week you're taking 5 trades. If you kind of focus on the now too much, you might get wrapped in it a little bit too much as well. So you want to focus on the long run. you're here to take good trades, and if a good trade presents itself, you want to you want to make sure you're available to take it. And of course, if there is no good trades, then what's the point of taking a trade? But yeah, that's kind of really where I'm at with the DAX. Let me go to the UK 100 quickly, then I'll go back to the crosses. Okay, so yeah, new all-time highs, but we're moving pretty corrective now. Looks like we might be going for a bit of retracement pretty soon. So yeah, with this one, UK 100 is always choppy conditions here. It's never like, okay, we're just going to break out and fly now. I don't really expect that. If you look at the prior price action, we do have the breakouts. We do have some nice upside that follows afterwards, but we do tend to come straight back down and form that big consolidation again, just like we did over there as well. So yes, really nice move here. Maybe we do stretch our legs a little bit, but I do expect something like this to form pretty soon afterwards for the next push up. So need to be wary of that. But yeah, really nice break to the upside. There might be another couple of days of some bullish momentum. So I would suggest as long as we stay above the high here, could be a nice little intraday correction, another push to the upside. But again, I would watch out because we're probably going to form that big consolidation at some point. But there might still be some short-term buys on the cards there. I say short-term, but it could last a couple of days, which might not be so short-term for some people. So yeah, generally speaking, indices looking very, very bullish across the board. Anyway, then we go take a look at Euro, Pound, Aussie, New Zealand dollar. Then I'll go through some CHF pairs. If you guys do have any requests, just let me know. Drop down in the chat, and we'll take a look. And even if you have a certain time frame you want me to look at as well, let me know, and I will take a look. But yeah, for Euro, Pound, we are approaching some areas where we could see some lower highs form. Again, we've had a pretty consistent bearish trend here for a while. These are just the major highs I'm marking on the chart, and we're coming to an area where again we could see another major lower high form, another push down. So I would be wary of that if you are a buyer. We're coming to an area where we could sell off. If I whip out this trend line connecting the highs and mark out this level of support, I would say that this is a pretty strong area of confluence where I would imagine to see some type of reaction. It may not give us a sell all the way back down to the lows, and quite frankly, I'm not necessarily expecting that. Main reason for that is because on the monthly chart, we are very much coming from a really big level of support. This candle's got 7 days and 11 hours left until it does close. And if it does close similar to how it's looking, to me, that's a big sign that says, okay, support is holding here. And we probably could see some more upside over the next couple of months as well. And really see a big move there, because if you look to the left, you can see massive reactions from this area. And there's probably a good chance we could see another similar reaction, maybe not necessarily back to the highs there, but at least a couple months of some bullish momentum as well is definitely on the cards there. So I would suggest for Euro Pound, nice area of confidence we're coming into now, and there could be some nice shorts there, which I'm interested in as well. As I said, I won't be looking for the home run because I don't expect us to get there. I'll be looking to locking gains along the way. I will still trail stops just in case we do see that move, but I will be prepared to get taken out early because I do think we'll probably turn around at some point. Okay, take care, Will. Have a good one, my man. Don't forget to like and sub. Appreciate it. Yeah, guys, if you are enjoying the stream, please be sure to drop a like. It does really help out. I do really appreciate everyone who has liked the stream so far. Subscribe to the channel as well. And of course, hit the bell too if you are enjoying the streams, enjoying the content. Make sure you do hit the bell so you don't miss out on anything when it does go live. But yeah, guys, really appreciate the likes and the subscribing. But yeah, take care. We'll hopefully see you next week. Have a good weekend as well. Anthony looking at GU and GJ. Okay, let me just go through Aussie, New Zealand dollar, and I'll take a look. Do you have a certain time frame you're looking at, Anton, for those currency pairs? So for Aussie, New Zealand dollar, I am looking at some longs for this one. But I do want to see a pretty big move back down first because I'm looking at a big swing trade here. The plan is to try and swing it back to the highs there at 1.117. And as you can see how consistent we are with these higher lows, the goal is to try and catch the next one. If I map out the high lows, so you can see we do have some nice confluence in this area here as well. So I'm looking for a move down, for a move up, continue the trend essentially, but find a good area to long from, where I can refine my risk, get a relatively healthy stop loss below a major low, below a trend line as well. And if it should play out, you're looking at a pretty big swing back to the high. But Aussie New Zealand dollar is taking its sweet time. It's been in this kind of weird consolidation for a while now. I remember talking about this opportunity back when we were here, and we just haven't gone anywhere since then. And that was back in December, around Christmas time, and now it's pretty much a month later, still in the same place as well. So that's one of the downsides of trading like the 4-hour time frame and higher. You can get these choppy consolidations, which you can get them too on the lower time frames, but the big difference is that a consolidation like this on like the 30-minute chart is about a week max worth of price action, maybe probably a lot less, maybe like 3 or 4 days, but let's say a week. This on the 4-hour chart is a month. So in terms of opportunities, you're going to get a lot less on the higher time frames, and you have to be a lot more patient for them as well. So yeah, that's a big downside about the higher time frames, but there's always downside and upside with pretty much everything in the trading world. It's just about weighing up the pros and cons and seeing if it makes sense for you. But yeah, still looking for that move there for Aussie New Zealand dollar. Just have to be patient at this moment in time. Looks like it's stuck in some resistance here, and it's doing a pretty good job at holding price. If it can sell off from there, should get my entries at some point, but we'll see. In terms of, appreciate it, Jay Smith. Appreciate it, my man. Major assets only to go. Nenad, do you think oil can go further down? I'm pretty bearish in oil. Haven't looked at oil yet on the stream. So yeah, I think oil can have a really big sell-off. I do think oil can have a really big sell-off, to be honest. Oh, look at that wick there on the weekly chart. Really aggressive there. So yeah, I do think oil can sell back to the lows here at 63.7. Really, I do think we can go for a really big sell. I'm looking at the major highs here: 1, 2, 3, 4, and if this is the next lower high in that sequence, I'd expect to push back to these lows, and probably even lower as well. So I'm very bearish in oil. If I drop to the daily chart, the way I'm looking at oil right now is that this trend line here connecting the highs was faked, and price did break above, but looks like we're closing right back below. And of course, we had that resistance here on the left as well, which did, of course, price did break above as well. But since then, we've closed right back below. And I'm again looking at that as the next lower high, but just looking at those confluences as price faked them, but is now trading back below. So as long as we can stay below 78, stay below that confluence, I do still see that move back to 63 or 64, we'll call it. And the fact that we've got that big wick on the weekly chart is a strong sign to me. Says, okay, price tried to break to the upside, but failed miserably. And now we're looking pretty bearish again. So I expect oil to keep falling really for a while till we get back down to at least the 68, 67 area, but really 64 is where I see oil pushing towards. I have to say it's a bit corrective on the way down. So I wonder, will we go through a bigger correction at some point before selling off? But from an intraday point of view, being pretty consistent with these lower highs. So I would suggest as long as that remains a thing, it remains intact, probably see price create more of that and continue falling again. Maybe some nice entries, something like that, maybe sometime next week as well. But yeah, more downside for oil. Very bearish in this one. And if oil does keep falling, maybe that can mean some weakness for CAD as well. which we'll see, because I'm looking to see if I can short New Zealand CAD, but if CAD is weak, then that's probably not a good thing for New Zealand CAD, of course. Downside anyway, might break to the upside. But yeah, I do think oil's got a long way to go. If it does remain below that area of confidence, of course, if it does break back above, I'll rethink my bias, because yeah, at that point, we're no longer holding that confidence anymore. Fibs for oil in the daily chart. Okay, so if I was drawing a fib for oil, I mean, there's two fibs I'll look at, to be honest, because they both make sense. Because if you look at this low, this is the high that took out the low and created the new low there as well. So I could draw a fib from the high here and measure that down to that low, which in turn you can see we pushed into the 0.618 there. But I can also draw a fib from the high here as well, since this is the low that broke this low here. So this is the high, sorry, that broke this low, which created a new low there. So I would say the fib from this high as well is still valid too. And in this situation, we came into the 0.786 and rejected that as well. But essentially, again, what I'm looking at for a fib is doesn't have to be specific 0.618 or 0.5 or 0.786. I'm just looking for price that really at least retrace the 0.5, because what the fib represents to me is a healthy pullback. If you've got a bullish leg in the market and the market's retracing, I at least want the market to get to 50% of that pullback before I look to engage and take some buys, because I know that at that point we've seen a healthy correction, and now it makes sense for me to buy into the market because we're at a healthy price. Doesn't mean that we can't pull back before that and continue. Of course we can, or a lot deeper and continue, but at least in this zone is where I'm looking to buy from. So yeah, both of them healthy corrections. This one 0.786, that one 0.618. So it's a healthy correction to me. So the confidence there from the fib is there for both of them. And we've seen some healthy corrections. No problem. Happy to help. So in terms of the CHF pairs, I was supposed to go through them earlier. I think Euro CHF, we're looking a little bit bullish, are we? Yes, look at that. Very, very bullish. Looks like we might be getting the bigger pullback now to this zone here. Looking at the major highs, of course, one over there, massive push down. Another high over there, really big push down as well. So now that we have broken our structure, I would be looking at, this bullish structure to continue and get that bigger move all the way up there. I mean, I'm not necessarily looking to target that, but that's the direction I expect price to be moving into. Really nice breakout of the range this morning. Could see a bit of a correction to retest that maybe early next week. Try and find the next higher low in this structure. And I would say keep an eye on the highs on the left, because those are probably the targets you'll be looking at. I don't think we've quite come back to the high there yet, have we? Oh, no, we have. So yeah, I'll probably say the next target now will be 0.95738, back at the high there. But looking very, very bullish there for Euro CHF. I think CHF, like I said, is a bit weak. So we're kind of seeing the reaction of that. I still like New Zealand CHF to the downside, just hasn't really set up for me well. Price, of course, now breaking through resistance here as well, but I still like it to the downside. Still looking at the higher time frames here, the daily chart. Specifically, we've broken through a very powerful level of support not too long ago, and I do expect eventually price to push back to the all-time low. Be very consistent with these lower highs as well. So my goal is to look to try and find the next one, and it might be on the retest of that zone, which we're coming into shortly. So I'm going to keep a close eye on this one next week. It will be on the watch list. And I know we've broken through some resistance here. Maybe that's stopping out some traders who got in too early in hindsight. And we might push up a little bit deeper and then get that sell. So I'm going to keep a close eye on New Zealand CHF. This is a pair that I do like. I do like the price action, top-down perspective. It ticks a lot of the boxes. So hopefully you can find some entries next week. If we do break above this zone, I'll probably step back a little bit, because that is not what I want to be seeing. But it is definitely something which I like the shorts for. And then is it okay for fib 0.3 as a pullback? I noticed that you consider only 0.5 more as a valid trade. Again, like I say, a pullback to any length is technically fine. But again, the theory I have with a fib. Okay, take care, Chris. Have a good one, my man. Looking forward to the weekly analysis. Nice. Yeah, that'll be out on Saturday, so keep an eye on that one. Sunday afternoon tonic. Not bad. Okay, have a good one. Enjoy your weekend as well. But yeah, the theory behind the fib is that, let's say you got bought the structure here, excuse me, and now you're looking for the pullback of this move. Essentially, the lower the price you can find a buy, the better, because it means that you get into the trade a little bit later than everyone else. And number two, your risk reward is better. For example, if I could take a buy here versus a buy down here, because structure is still valid, the trend is still up as long as this low is still intact. So in theory, you want to buy as close to this low as possible. Not all the time, because you'll miss a lot of trades, because not every time we pull back to that low, of course. But in theory, you want to buy as close to that low as you can, because you get a better price. You'll be entering later than other people, and you'll maximize your risk reward, because if a trend's going to continue, it has to get back to that high. So you know your risk reward from here to the high versus here to the high is far greater. Of course, take into consideration you've got the same size stop loss, of course. So there's a lot of reasons why you would want to enter further down. So for me, as long as prices get into at least a 50%, I know that now price is in a situation where we're a bit overextended and we're like to snap bullish. If price is above the 0.5, it's not that the market can't continue, it very much can. It's just that it hasn't pulled back enough for me to say that, okay, this is now an opportunity where I expect price to snap in the other direction and the market's a bit stretched and we're likely to push. So for that reason, I like waiting below the 50. But again, there are trades where I'm looking for price to get to the 50 and then I miss the trade because the market's had a shallow pullback, or shallower pullback, I should say. So again, it's not perfect. You will miss some trades because not every pullback gets to the 50, but I would say about 60% of pullbacks will at least get to the 50, at least in the FX market anyway. Maybe not so much the indices, but the FX market corrects a lot. So you will get a lot of opportunities still. 0.3 is not bad. You know, the 0.382, 236, you can have these levels as well. They can definitely give you some nice opportunities. My biggest advice is just be specific with your opportunities, because you don't want to be in a situation where you're looking at so many levels and then you're taking buys at this area, buys at this area, buys at this area, buys at this area, because then like you're spreading yourself a little bit thin there. You know, you want to be a bit more specific. And for me, anything below the 50 is gain. Again, I'm not so concerned about which level, if it's the 0.5 or the 0.618 or the 0.786, because I'm always looking at support and resistance, and wherever that lies is where my focus will be. As long as I know we're below the 50, I know that, okay, we're in a healthy area where we could bounce. So that's my thinking behind the fib. Daily time frame is doing well. Okay, yeah, like I said, yeah, you will get some nice pullbacks at the 0.3. Any fib level is technically valid. Any fib level, no fib level is invalid. It's just I have my preferences, and that's where I like to take my trades. But again, the best way to find the answer to that is go and do some testing yourself. Go and test the 0.3 or whatever fib level you want to trade, and get the results yourself, because you will see, okay, maybe 0.3 is actually pretty good for me. So then you focus on that, and trade that, and you'll be confident to trade it as well because you've done the testing as well. So yeah, if you really want to get the answer to that, go and test it. Anyway, CAD Seed Chef, quickly finished the Seed Chef pairs. CAD Seed Chef, not a big fan of this one. Pretty sure we're still stuck in a range here, aren't we? Yeah, we're still stuck in a range. So not really interested in CAD CHF. I think we'll probably do a pretty big pullback at some point. This is the daily chart. Um, I'm looking at this like a really big descending channel here. And in my book, it looks like price is due a move like this at some point. But we do need to break the high of the range, of course, if that's going to be a reality. But there could be some nice buys above that, back into the upper end of that channel, because we've seen some really nice swings for CAD Chef as of late. And now we're kind of just hugging the end of the lower channel here. So I do think something like this is probably on the cards in the next couple of weeks, 3 weeks, month. So if you can get a strong break of the high, probably some nice buys on the way up. That's an awful drawing, but I'm sure you guys get what I mean. And then you can find some buys accordingly. But yeah, as long as we're in that range, I'm not interested in price. But if CHF is going to be weak, maybe we do get the breakout pretty soon and then find some pullbacks afterwards. And yeah, that could be an opportunity, maybe even next week if we get the breakout. All right, take care, Nads. No problem, man. Have a good one. We'll hopefully see you next week. But of course, I will be posting on the weekend as usual with the weekly analysis. So keep an eye out for that as well. Antonio, you're some short opportunities next week. I'm not that much of a fan of Yen as I was this week. I was looking to short it this week, but it broke structure. So that has kind of invalidated my outlook for Yen, at least with this bearish structure. So I do think a bit more upside back to the high there at 164.8 is the likely next move. And then maybe from there, we look at some downside. More so, I like this area up here. That's really well. I'm looking for a big sell because I do think this level probably will break. It might give us a reaction, but I do think price is probably going to go break through. So, yeah, if you're looking for shorts for Euro Yen, I would focus more so on 164.8. Now that we've broken through that high, it invalidates that bearish structure, and now we're putting in these higher lows. So I do think Euro Yen's going to keep pushing at least back to that major level of resistance, and then, like I said, maybe we do sell off from there. But yeah, I mean, in terms of my watch list, I like pound USD short still. Of course, I'll go through my watch list a bit more detail on the weekend, but for now, pound USD looks pretty good for the downside. So I'm still keeping a close eye on 1.25. I still really like gold if it does pull back to that 2720. Yeah, 2720. If it still pulls back there, which is pretty highly unlikely at the moment in time. But if it does for some reason, I'm very much looking for longs there. Pound NZD and pound Aussie. Pound Aussie. About to say pound Aussie. Pound NZD and pound Aussie still look really good for some longs. We'll go to the daily chart, see a little bit better. Again, looking for that next higher low. This is where my confidence lies. So looking for some longs there. And pound Aussie looking just as good. Again, looking between the two because they pretty much do the same thing. So yeah, just pick the better one. And I do really like New Zealand CHF as well for some sells. But I need to stay patient. Can I not spell? There we go. I need to stay patient because if CHF is going to be weak, I need to be careful because if you do break above this, then that does invalidate the trade. But the key market which I'm looking at is the dollar because it's coming to that make or break level. Essentially the break of this level is what made me bullish long term on the dollar. So if we don't sustain that, if we don't hold that price action, I will have to rethink my bias. And if you do break below, I will be bearish again. So I need to see if we can hold this next week, or if we come crashing down, yeah, I'll be looking at something like that, which kind of looks like a big head and shoulder pattern. Left, head, right. And that's your neckline. And of course, you could be looking at a really big sell there. So dollar could change around. Of course, if you hold support, then I retain that bullish bias. I'm looking for a swing to the high. So that's going to be very interesting next week. But anyway, guys, we have come up to the end of the stream. As I said, I will be live every day next week. So look out for the streams. Hit the bell so you don't miss out on that. If you have enjoyed the stream, guys, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel. It does really help out. I do really appreciate it. And of course, check out the Elevating Traders Discord channel if you haven't done so already. Links in the description and also at the top of the chat. You can't miss it. Chat with myself, other traders. I share opportunities there of what I'm looking at. And of course, you can learn a little bit more about Elevating Traders as well if you are interested. But guys, I really do appreciate you tuning in for the stream. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Look out for the analysis on the weekend, of course. But besides from that, have a great rest, guys. Great time off the charts, unless you're trading crypto, of course. But it's good to take a break, refresh for the next week. But guys, appreciate you coming on. Take care. We'll see you in the next one.